afternoon, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone Conversations with the Ancient. My name's Priscilla. That's Heather down below. And today is our special guest, Terri Suzuki. Who, of
Yay.
course, is going to give us some Terri's tales, which are always so bloody interesting. So fascinating. So welcome everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here. We aren't doing readings today, but it's going to be a great show. I'm going to turn it over to you, Terri.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get you. No, not that one. This one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Heather and Priscilla, for inviting me to tell my Terri's tales.
We love it.
I love telling them. I love it when anyone will listen to me about these wild and crazy things I see.
Well, you know, you really are a great storyteller, and I hope sometime you'll put your tales down in a book because I think it would be fantastic.
Yeah, I do write them all down, so that's good. And that also helps me then whenever you call upon me to tell some of these. Well, just so everyone knows, the way I got these particular stories is I went to two different metaphysical fairs in my area. And sometimes I get these through meditation, or I'm doing private readings with people or things like that. But I have been a little bit MIA for a while. So I have been in Japan for a month or more. I have then been on jury duty. I hadn't had a lot to refill the Terri's Tale bank.
Yeah. So I understand.
That's okay.
So now
but you got them now. You've got plenty now.
Yeah.
Woohoo, all filled up. I love it. And I hope your time in Japan was fruitful, that you got a lot done and enjoyed yourself.
Yep. Good. And for those who don't know, I bought an old house in Japan and I'm fixing it up, and it takes time. And I'm doing it all myself. My husband and I and my sister-in-law, we're doing it ourselves. So it takes time when you only got 3 of us and 2 of you are located in the United States.
No kidding. That can't be easy.
Yeah.
Let's say hello to people in the chat. Leah and Laurie Hunt singer, and Mary Ellen, Carolyn Adams, and Carolina, and Little Gronig. What? Teresa Levine, G. Covington, a light worker. Wow. Thanks, ladies, for being here. We appreciate it. Did you say hi, Mom?
Well, somebody said hi, Mom, and I think it's my...
Oh, that's nice.
I think I have 2 relatives in the chat now.
That's brilliant. So our night is yours. Hi, Chris Cassidy. Welcome.
And littler Groning too.
And okay, littler Groning.
Oh,
isn't it nice to have your family come visit? It's great.
Yeah.
I always enjoy it.
Come and visit and not think I'm crazy. That's lovely.
Yes.
I'm not sure mine have gotten past the not crazy part.
Mine have not gotten that far. I'm just nuts. I'm doing not what they want.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Well, welcome, Terri's family. We're glad to have you here. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Well, Leah just kind of nailed that, and she said, that's interesting, a psychic doing jury duty. And I did list my profession as a psychic medium, and they still chose me. So
okay. But as you told me, you actually didn't use your psychic skills.
Because they wanted us to examine the evidence, and then take the law as given to us by the judge and make a decision. So
that seems right to me.
That's I played by the rules. So
right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, I just kind of want to tell people kind of a tiny bit about what I do at these fairs a bit. So
good idea.
I have a booth, and I have 2 chairs behind my little booth, and I set it up kind of pretty. And I charge $40 for 20 minutes, and I will read in any mode anybody wants. So in other words, I will read as a psychic or as a medium or the Akashic Records or a combination thereof.
Right.
Whatever they want.
Mhm.
And it's now really nice to have the Akashic Records on board, because if I'm getting an unusual psychic or mediumship reading, I can then double check it with the Akashic Records masters and find out what's going on here. So
Right.
yeah. So the stories I have for you today fall into 3 categories. So I have 2 examples of how mediumship happens for me out in the wild, and
Out in the wild. I love that.
I have 2 cases where that people got business and career advice. My guides love giving out business plans and things like that. And then the last 2 are examples of what I call how much spirit cares about us, about caring, deep caring.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah. So let's get started with mediumship. You know,
Yes.
talking to the dead. So I had a young woman sit down at my booth, and she wanted Akashic Records reading. She wanted to know, is she on her life path, you know? But I also could tell she's not very spiritually down that path. She doesn't know very much. And to
Right.
be honest, sometimes I feel like I'm really a psychic. You know, the newbies may have a harder time understanding me.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, though, is she wanted to hear from her grandmother. So that was cool. So I went into the Akashic Records first, and one thing that that was so interesting is that they basically just showed that she's a really solid person. She's the kind of person that people really love. And for some reason, they were showing me a cross section of like a river, of a flow, this
Wow.
flow of energy that in her life, she's going to be a touchstone for others. She's just somebody who's a good, solid person that helps everybody.
Wow.
And you know, she's still growing in her abilities, but it was clear that in a sea of trouble, she's the person you want to know. She's the person. And the interesting thing then happened was when that I saw these colors, and then she said, "I want to talk to my grandma." And so I went to get grandma, and as I was getting grandma, I could still see the same flow of colors. And I'm like, oh, she inherited this from her grandma.
Right.
Grandma was also the solid person, the person that people trusted that could help others. Like, oh, okay, I get that. And then grandma suddenly washed my vision with some new colors. It was like a watercolor looking picture of like white and gold, white and grayish silver and maroon. And for some reason, what those colors meant to me was she's a hard worker, solid performer, a caring person. And for the life of me, I would never be able to tell you why those colors meant that, but they did. And I'm like,
Exactly. It just is.
right. And I'm like, Grandma, I need a little bit more evidence, though. I need more than that. That's great. And she says, yes, hear that, but I want a little more evidence. And suddenly, I mean, I felt as if it's almost picked me up bodily and suddenly set me on the ground. And I suddenly was like a little kid sitting in the grass in a pool of sunlight, just absolutely beautiful pool of sunlight. And the sunlight's just all around me. And I look up and there's laundry hanging on the line. And I stand up, and now I'm back to me and my size. And I'm looking at the laundry, and I'm seeing there's many lines of laundry. And I'm like, wow, okay, laundry. And I'm thinking, this is a young lady. People haven't really held out
Not since I was a
50
kid.
years.
No.
No kidding.
And I'm like, and as I kind of am looking around a little bit more, suddenly, like not like 2 inches from me, Grandma's head pops over the line. And she's smiling. She's so happy. And she says, "Isn't this magnificent? Isn't this something else?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And so then I pause right there and I'm like, what am I going to tell this lady? And so I say, your grandma, I said, I found myself sitting in the grass, pool of sunshine, and then many lines of laundry. There's laundry everywhere. And your grandma has popped up and she's right there. And I said, does the laundry make any sense to you? And she said, yes, she was a laundress.
Wow.
That's what she did for a living. And I'm like, oh my God.
Lines and lines of laundry.
Yeah.
That's
And I
amazing.
was like, okay, good. We are on it.
We
And
have a
grandma,
question about this story, about the colors. Is it that you get a feeling about what the colors mean for the sitter? So they might be the same colors, but have a different meaning for another sitter?
I would think so,
I would
yes.
think so too, yeah.
Because there's no rhyme or reason. Like if you showed me white, gray, and maroon right now, I would say, ooh, I don't like that color combination. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not the pools I would like to see. But somehow in the moment, it said to me, strong
yeah,
worker, good, diligent person.
right.
Um, so grandma gave her a small message, and then but all the time, this time when I was there, my guide stopped me at points and said, let them ask a question. This happened multiple times this time. And they
Interesting.
stopped me there and said, let her ask a question. I said, do you have a question for your grandma? And she says, yes. Did she get my gift? And so I went in and I know, so right away, several people put stuff in her coffin. And I immediately saw paper. Somebody put a note in. But then I said, but there's something metal. There's something metal here that's been put in. And I said, did you put in jewelry? And she said, yes, I put a bracelet in for her. But grandma, who's so full of love, pops up and says, tell her I got the gift, but she's the gift. She's the gift,
How
not the
beautiful.
bracelet. She's the gift. And then I see them together on the stage, and grandma is standing behind her. And she puts her arms around her and her hands on the girl's chest. And before that, so then grandma kind of swings my vision around. So I'm standing in front of them and I can see on the girl's heart, she has the 3 of swords on her chest, the 3 of swords.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at it, and grandma, as he's hugging her, puts healing into her chest. It just looks like white powder being put into her chest. And she whispers to the girl's ear, you can let go now. You can let it go now. And it
That
just,
brings tears to my eyes.
I know. So
Wow.
I don't know what the thing was, some sort of 3-way kerfuffle going on for her. And grandma healing her and say, you can let it go now. Oh,
Oh, that's beautiful.
I know.
Sweet grandma from the grave.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my. So
What a lucky girl.
I know. And I think she's so new to this. I had, because I had to keep going time-wise for other people, I'm like, you're gonna have to go look up what the 3 of swords means, and,
Yeah.
had to let her go. Well, the next mediumship, it wasn't the very next one, but I grouped these. The next mediumship was about murder.
Whoa.
I know.
Whoa.
Yeah, I just go with what they show me.
Absolutely.
So a lady sits down, I want to say probably late 30s, probably late 30s. and she wanted to talk to her husband. I'm like, I thought, man, she's really young to have a husband dead already. Anyway, so I'm just like, go in there, and I get him right away. Right away. He's a big presence, and he's a big man too. He comes in wearing plaid and kind of strutting in. He's a big guy. If he were at a party, he'd be the life of the party for
Oh,
sure.
wow.
He's the guy that he's not afraid to talk to anybody. He's just out there, you know. So she agrees that's him. And the way he's standing, the way he has his hands in his pocket and stuff, like, yep, that's him. And right off the bat, he apologizes. He says, babe, I am so sorry that I left you so soon, that I took the off ramp. Now that's for me. He's talking my speak on off.
Right.
He's like, I'm really sorry that I left you so early. I'm sorry about that. So the thing is, anytime I'm reading, whether I'm reading in person or on Zoom or on YouTube, if they apologize really fast, I am completely suspicious right off the bat.
Right.
Because the ones who don't need to apologize always apologize right away. They don't usually need to apologize. They usually were a soft soul over here, and there's still a soft soul over there. Or they're a tricky, sly son of a gun who wants to, make people think a little bit better of them, or they're hiding something a little bit.
Oh, on the other side, you're saying they can be tricky?
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
If they're not as spiritually advanced over here, they're not going to be as spiritually advanced over there often.
That makes sense.
Sometimes they are. But the ones who really need to apologize, they don't apologize for a long time. I mean, like years and years.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he immediately is just telling her how much he loves her and that he sent her a new partner. And she does have a new partner, and she did feel like he did it. Like he sent this person to her.
Oh, that's sweet.
And, so in other words, for me, he's showing me he has kind of a magnanimous spirit. But he also then says, however, if that person wasn't good to his son or his children, this man would never stop fighting from over there. Would never, I mean, they would be bedeviled by this guy. He's clear he loves his son. He said children, so I think there's more than one children, but he only talked about the son. So that was really interesting.
That's different.
Yeah.
I was going to say, when you were referring to those that don't apologize, I mean, if they really need to, they don't. And I can say, yes, that's true.
Right.
And I've experienced that.
Yeah. And sometimes it's because there was a soul contract for you and they were just doing their job. There really is no reason to apologize. But that being said, sometimes they soften up over there. My mom, who probably had a soul contract with me, never apologized. And
mine didn't either.
Just recently.
Yeah,
mine never has.
My first husband's never apologized. He has stated facts, but he's never apologized for those things that he.
Yeah, my mom didn't apologize, but it, we both was like, it was a contract. No apology was necessary.
No, right. I found that.
Although I'd still like one.
Yeah, me too.
I got both with my dad. That yes, it was a contract, but yes, he's sorry he did such a good job.
Right.
Oh, So once again, Spirit stopped me at a point and said, let her ask a question. And I said, what do you want to ask him? Is there a question you have? And she said, yes, I want to know who killed him. And I'm like,
Whoa.
now here's the funny thing. Normally you might get a little scared when that happens, like, oh God, am I going to get this right or whatever, you know? But my spirit leaped for joy. Like, whoa, this is a good question. This is good.
Yeah.
Learn
That's a great question. I can't wait to hear if he answered.
He's a sly devil. Let's just say
Mhm.
that. So I asked him, you know, your wife would like to know what killed you. She'd like to know about your death. What happened? Could you show me what happened? And so immediately he's like, okay. And we walk up an off ramp, like a highway off ramp. That's how I see the beginning of death, going on the off ramp. So
Mhm.
I see him go up the off ramp, and at the top of the off ramp are 3 boxes. And I don't know how to tell you how come the 3 boxes say drugs to me, but it does. That he's died of a drug overdose. And I said, so I said, did he die of a drug overdose? And she said, yes. And then I said, then I saw the friend that he took the drugs with. And I described him. He was tall, thin, had brunette hair, and a really horrible white t-shirt that was halfway see-through, and just not a solid citizen there at all. He didn't die, but that's who he took him with. And then they showed me more, like that the drugs were contaminated. They had come from a cartel. They showed me where they came from, and
That's
that
scary.
it was really bad. And then uh, then he's kind of proud of himself. Like, okay, we've showed you everything, and and then I'm like, okay, well, that's what they're saying. And she goes, I know who you're talking about. I know that guy. I'm like, okay. And I'm kind of like, you know, hope there's not going to be any, she's not going to go do anything to him. And then she says, but I don't think that's the whole story. I don't think that's who actually is responsible for this. And I said, okay, well, tell me do you think is responsible? And she says, I think it's his mom. I think his mom was supposed to hold on to these drugs, and he went and begged from her. She was not supposed to give them to him, and she did. And he took them all and overdosed. So I go back to him, and he's kind of standing behind those boxes, and I say, oh, well, you've heard what she said. Is that true? And while I'm looking at him at the boxes this time, he's got like a tablecloth over them now. It's a black velvet tablecloth over them. And I'm like, and on the tablecloth are poker chips. And he looks at me pleasantly but slyly, and he puts his fingers on the poker chips and he pulls them back. And I realize he's not going to tell me. He's not going to tell her. And he does give me the feeling that I don't want her to know this, because I'm a little bit afraid that she will go after them, or go after mom, or go after the cartel, or I'm
Put
afraid for
herself in
her
danger.
safety. But it's more than that, because I can see he's sly, and he pulls those chips
Wow.
back, and I tell her we're not going to get another word out of him. And she's like, yep, he won't tell me, he won't tell anybody. And I said, because I guess she's had them read on this before, and I said, if I were you, I would keep asking, but maybe like every year, you know, give him a little time to get over it until he thinks maybe you're over it and won't go after mom or somebody. But yeah, oh my God.
Wow.
Wow.
That doesn't sound like a murder to me. It just sounds like more like a suicide.
Well, I mean, I think you can decide any way you want. He took the drugs, he died of the drugs, you
Mhm.
know, so. But to her, it feels like murder. Somebody gave him the drugs and wasn't supposed to give him the drugs or whatever. So,
Yeah. But personal responsibility.
yeah. Yeah. So,
Wow.
so
That's
that's it.
really fascinating. You get some good stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
Me, that I don't do mediumship. It's very odd, very weird for me to be involved in mediumship. So I'm fascinated by it because that I talk to dead people in my family, but that's it. I don't, and they're the ones that usually instigate the conversation.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, it is interesting. It is
Fascinating.
really interesting that they talk to me, and we can hold a conversation and talk about it, and I like how they use visual cues like the pulling the poker chips back to say, you reached your limit, I'm not talking anymore.
Yeah. Craig Dixon had something to say. I'm not sure if this is appropriate, but Terri, I'm so happy you helped my mom heal on the other side.
Oh,
That's sweet.
thank you, Craig. Well, we're going to talk about a healing in this third set.
Okay, one other one. Chris Cassidy says, can our loved ones really help us from the other side?
I believe they can. Yeah.
I believe they can.
I believe they can too.
Yeah. I think that they can be on once in a while I see them on a spiritual team as a spirit guide. Not all the time, but I think they can help us. I think they can just
My husband has helped me from the other side over the years, for sure.
And I feel like they help us, but sometimes not in the ways that we would expect them to.
right.
Very, very true.
Yes, it's rarely how we think it's going to go. Yeah, rarely.
It's never how I think it's gonna go. I just
They do what they
surrender to
know is
whatever it
right
is.
to do, and it does help us, but at the time we may not feel like they did.
Right. Right. Sometimes it takes a look back to say, "Oh yeah, that's how they helped me."
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to business and career advice
Business and
because
career advice.
they like
Amen.
that a lot too. So when I'm reading the Akashic records, so the first lady that I talked about, I went and talked to her Akashic records masters, but I didn't do very much with them. And it's because she was so new, she doesn't even know she has Akashic records
Right.
masters. So meeting them wouldn't do any good. But if somebody's a little bit more advanced and we're going to go into the Akashic Records Masters, I like them to meet their masters by name or by job title. So the booth next door to me was selling all sorts of candles and things, and it was a really well attended booth. Everybody loved the things that they had. And the lady was also doing readings. And from my vantage point, I thought she was doing tarot cards. That's not what she was doing, though. She has developed her own very, very unique individual way of reading. And she does it with paints.
Huh.
And what she does is she wets down paper and she uses oil, oil acid paints or something. She puts down the color. She has like colors in the chakra colors, and directed by her guide, she puts down some colors, and then her and her sitter start looking for pictures in it, and then she uses a dream book to interpret those pictures. She's been doing
Interesting.
this for quite a long time, and she seems pretty good at it. So she said it is not a coincidence that your booth is by our booth or her booth. She says, I have been wondering if I should take a class and learn how to read the Akashic records as another offering for her booth. And I'm like, okay, let's get into this. So when I read the Akashic records, what I do is I put them in a prayer of protection, say the key, and then I first go greet my Akashic records masters. So the way I see it, because I'm all visual, I see like a little house, like a little plain house, all open in front. And my 3 Akashic Records masters are just in the house. And I greet them, say hi. There's a fence, a little mid-modern style fence right beside it on the left. And if I go around the fence to the other side, then there's your house with your Akashic Records masters in it. And so I greet
I have a
mine.
question. Is
Right.
everybody's Akashic Records house different? Or is it the same little house that you see? It's just the other person's house?
I see the same little house. When I'm interacting with my Akashic Records just for me,
Mhm.
it's a little English cottage in this countryside.
I love
But
it.
but when I see this, it's just almost like a very plain, almost like they took popsicle sticks and made this little shed kind of. You know, I
That's
mean, it's
kind
not.
of interesting because mine's like that too, but it's more like marble marble pillars with a little, and I know there's a building around it, but I can't see what that is. I just see this with marble pillars
Uh-huh,
next to it, and the Akashic Record Masters are standing
uh,
in that doorway.
uh-huh.
I can't see what's behind it. I can't see what's to the side of it other than it looks like a building, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Mine.
and I am in a building, but I don't have no idea what it looks like in the back. It's
Hmm,
just I'm in the entrance.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
interesting.
mine are very plain. It's very plain. Nothing fancy. No fancy at all. Sometimes in the background of your Akashic records, in the background might be out in space. It might be, it might be the background might be quite different.
Right.
Yeah. In
I
mine,
almost
there's no
always see
background.
angels all the way in the background, but it's just like light that looks like feathers, kind of like individual feathers, like you're looking at a
Mm-hmm.
peacock tail or a white peacock tail or something like that. It's just all this
Oh.
light and individual type energetic feathers, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I see behind everybody,
Mm-hmm.
pretty
That's
much.
cool.
Yeah.
That kind of matches your background right now, even a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I guess it sorta does.
The fan and the angel wings coming out. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, so in her case, now she did not tell me about these special readings yet. That I'm just telling you so I can save a little time in the story.
Right.
So right away, I get over to her house, and she's got a team of 3 as well, but they are magnificent looking.
Mm.
They are all Japanese.
Oh, interesting.
So the first one on the right is very tall, and I cannot tell if it's
Was
a
the girl Japanese?
hmm?
Was the sitter Japanese?
No, no,
Okay.
just a white lady. No Japanese connection whatsoever. And
Interesting.
so the first guide or master is, I can't tell if it's male or female. I can't tell at all. It just kind of keeps going back and forth. And it's very tall. It's wearing an orange silk kimono with gold uh, uh,
Embroidery.
not smocking, but embroidery on it. And it also has a fan going over, a white fan going over half of its face. I
Interesting.
can never see behind the fan.
Huh.
And so I'm like, um, hello, greetings. Um, could you tell me your name? And he says, Otosan. That means father in Japanese. So I've said, okay, well, I can't tell if you're male or female, but now that you've told me that name, I'm just going to call you him. Is that okay? And he says, that's fine. So I start talking to him, and I'm like, what do you do for her? What's your job to help her in? And he said, I am her creativity. I give her the creativity she has. And he's kind of like, don't you notice the orange of the sacral chakra? I do, yes. And so he's all about the creativity, and he goes on to tell me more about her creativity. And I can't even tell you that because I don't, record these, so I don't
Right.
know what more he said. And then I am drawn to the third one over on the other side. And the third one is a statue. It's a Jizo statue. So in Japan, you see these all over in temples, even a side of the road. Sometimes you'll see a Jizo, and it's like a little statue of a Buddhist priest, and they always have an orange collar or an orange cape or an orange apron on, but it's always orange. And so I greeted that being and asked, "What's your name?" Jizo-san. So when they say "san" at the end, it means like Mr. So it's a very formal title, and it means they're older than her, for sure. So, I mean, I already know they're older, but he's formally invoking how old he is by Jizo-san. And I asked him, "What do you do for her? What is your job with her?" And he says, and what I notice is the Jizo is morphing between a stone Buddha and a stone Japanese lantern.
Wow.
Morphing between these two things as I'm looking at it. And he says, "I am her strength. I am her touchstone. He said, I'm her safety. I'm her guiding light in the darkness."
Wow.
I know, I'm just like, whoo.
Whoa.
Wow. So he counterbalances the creativity of the other one. They counterbalance. And so then I look at the one in the middle. And he is quite interesting too. His name is Jun. So Jun, it's a Japanese word, but he's not Jun-san. He didn't say san. He's just Jun. And he looks like a really bad priest. Like a priest who's been sent there by his parents, and he doesn't really want to do this. He doesn't have his hair cut well, his clothes are dirty. He looks altogether too much fun. He's clearly very fun. He's not serious at all. Now, and as I talked to him to ask him what does he do for her, and again, he's like the other one, providing fun, creativity, keeping it light, but he starts to morph as well. And he morphs into a kappa. Now, this is a K-A-P-P-A, if you want to look it up. So a kappa is a being that only occurs in Japan, and it's a water deity, and it's like it's kind of like a white frog or a white, kind of looks a little ducky. It always has like a green hat on that's kind of like a lily pad that's kind of gotten torn up a little.
Okay.
And they are also responsible for fun and impishness and
So she's got a lot of fun going on in her life.
yeah. So she needs the Jizo-san for sure to balance her out. So then we start talking to them, and the other thing I should have said is in front of the houses is like a little path. It's like a little path going in front of mine and in front of theirs. And when I'm in front of yours or theirs, the path becomes lit up. It's almost like alive. And I can see like where they're going.
Wow.
And kind of like where's their path going. And so we talk about that, about her path. And they want her to read the Akashic records. And she doesn't have any, she can do it just for money. That's perfectly fine with them. Whereas my what I've been tasked with my Akashic records is not so much about money. I've been tasked with healing, mostly bringing healing. So, but so it's really good. She asks them some questions, she gets answers, and there we go.
Wow.
And later she comes back about an hour later and then gives me a $10 tip too. I'm like.
So did you send her to where we all took our class?
Yes, of course I did. I recommended Val so many times. That woman should
You
have
have
all
to.
classes right
That
now.
class was amazing. Best $29 I ever spent in my life.
Yeah, they've gone up, now.
Has it?
Still not so bad. It's not affordable. Still affordable.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, Val's doing a beautiful job there.
yeah. Well, I see I got to get moving here if I'm going to get all the stories in.
Oh, you got plenty of time.
Okay, I love that. So the next business one is also a spiritual one. Also, just blows me away. So these two happened on different days. So after I got done reading the last one I told you about the all the creativity, a
Yes,
man
Chris.
a man came up and started to talk to me, and he just invited himself in, sat in my booth, and started talking to me. And it turns out he's a trance medium.
Wow.
He's a natural born trance medium, and he basically thinks he's mentally ill because people have told him he's mentally ill because of trance medium. And so we talked a little bit about boundaries, how to protect himself a little bit more. And he then later said, "Well, are you going to be at this fair again?" I'm like, "Yeah, we'll talk more." So that was that. But I met him because the next day he's going to play into another reading. So a young, I want to say mid-30s says, and she is a therapist, and she has just graduated with a graduate degree in therapy. So it's I'm not using all the right terms. She's not a physical therapist. She's a mental health therapist, and she's just gotten a higher degree. And she wants to know from the Akashic Records what's next. What's next on her timeline? She doesn't tell me how spiritually evolved she is yet, but as I do the reading, it's quite clear that she's got it going on. So right away, we go into the Akashic Records, I greet mine, I go on the other side of the fence and greet hers, and I am, I just love all the teams. They're just so interesting. So right away, in what I call the first spot, there's a shaman. And he is dressed up in his regalia. He is old. I could tell old. And he is facing me and talking to me. I love that because sometimes when I'm with the Native American persuasion in the spirit world, they turn their backs to me, and I have to ask permission to talk to them. And then in the middle is a mixed being, and I'll have to describe that in a moment.
Wait. I want to go back to them turning their back. Why do they turn their back? What is that?
Sometimes if people have spirit guides that are Native American, that when I greet their spirit guides on my stage, sometimes their back is to me and they won't talk to me. And I believe it's because of a lot of the trauma that we've had that we've given to Native Americans.
Okay.
And what I find is I usually have to ask the person to say out loud, "Dear spirit guides, would you please talk to Terri?" And then
And
they
do
turn
it?
around and talk to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Kind of interesting.
I don't know everything about it. I only know this much.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why. Oh yeah, see, Craig, his mom too wouldn't had her back to me, and then when I asked him to ask her to give her permission to talk to me, then she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens quite often to me, but of course I've never seen a Akashic record master with their back to me. So,
Right.
but it was something I noted
Mm-hmm.
that right
Interesting.
there, right willing to. So I guess I'll slow down just so the shaman. He didn't give me a name. I didn't get a name for anybody on this team, but I asked him, "What do you do for this woman?" And he said, "I am ancient wisdom.
Wow.
She draws her ancient wisdom from me. I provide her with it as she needs it. Because I could tell this woman was very wise. She's clearly and really, I think, probably a very, very good therapist. But she has ancient wisdom that she draws on from him. And I'm like, oof, that's so cool. So then instead of going all the way to the other side, I go to the middle because the being in the middle is fantastic. I've never seen a being like it ever. And it is clearly from another planet, but it's a multi-being. It's more than one. And the way I see it is it's kind of like this white lump, a body of some sort that I don't know what it is. And then fanned out all across it is black feathers, black, like not like a peacock's feather, but fanned out feathers, black feathers everywhere. And I can hear more than one voice coming from it. And I ask it, what's, what, first I ask, what are you? Because I'm like, I have never seen anything like this. What are you? And he said, well, you don't really need to know, but we come from other galaxies and we come together. And I'm like, okay. What do you do for her? And so they say, we are responsible for giving her expansive thought. So we give her expanded thought, like these feathers are all expanded, so that she can tap into the universe of thought and not let anything stop her from thinking. She can go in and get the information about these people and put it together without censoring her thoughts, without saying, that's not possible. And I'm like, that's cool. Really cool. And then
Very cool.
the next being, so the third being all the way over, looks like some sort of cross between an angel and a fairy. Is kind of very pale, white, angel-y, fairy-like. I don't know if you can cross those two beings or not. I don't know, but that's what this being looks like to me. And I'm like, greetings, how are you? Great. And I'm like, what do you do for this lady? What do you do? And they said, and it had a very high, sweet voice, and said, we are responsible for magic. We provide her with magic. We provide her with healing, and we provide her with unusual ability to manifest. So magical healing manifestation for others. She can manifest healing for others.
Wow.
And right away, after I kind of get done talking to them, they put another picture in my head of the man I just talked to the day before, who is a trance medium who believed himself to be mentally ill. This is the persons that they want helped. That many people who are mentally ill probably are also psychic, or probably, basically she is uniquely equipped to help mental illness and to know when it's mental illness and when it's not mental illness.
Wow, that's huge. I have a granddaughter that is bipolar, or they think that she has mental illness, and I'm absolutely sure she does not, that it's all about her abilities,
Mm-hmm.
that they keep telling her she's crazy when she sees things and hears things, and I know she's not.
Right.
I want her to go see this therapist that would understand. Oh my God, that's amazing for Starseeds, because I think we see it a lot in the younger generation.
I think so. She also has a new partner who's also into wellness, and eventually they want to start a wellness center together where that they can put wellness, mental illness therapy, and probably, and I know she's probably going to be doing a little bit of this. So,
Sounds like it. Oh, that's fascinating. She
yeah,
sounds like the perfect therapist, really. She sounds like an amazing therapist.
yeah. And she kept giving me feedback on every single thing that, yes, she already sees people's guides. She already sees these things happening. She's completely connected.
Right.
And these guides, these Akashic Records masters make perfect sense to her.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
That is just
So
incredible.
I
What a
just,
great story.
I know. And it's interesting that they keep putting these together. They keep weaving it together.
I love how they've done that, how they put that man with her.
I
Oh my
know.
God. That is just
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Oh, look at Craig. He says, yes, Clara was my guide. Thought I was having mental illness, schizophrenia, but she was actually psychic in her time. Yeah, I bet.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, now we're on to caring, spiritual caring, which
Spiritual caring.
we still see in the other stories as well, but this is
Yeah.
where this is deep spiritual caring that I hope will help the audience too. So the first reading I had at the second fair, it was the most unsatisfactory reading of all. But I'm
Oh,
going
wow.
to tell you about it because it's still very, very important. So a young lady, well, I guess mid-30s, sat down. Maybe she's early 40s, I don't know. And she wanted a reading. She has to make a decision on Tuesday about where she's going to live. And this decision has been a long time coming. And it's the whole, what the constellation of whatever this decision is, because she didn't tell me what it is exactly, is been affecting her financially forever. It's been dogging her life down. And clearly she's been putting off the decision, but on Tuesday, her hand will be forced. So I immediately, because she's not particularly very spiritually minded, start with her spirit guides. I start on that side of the team. They are very excited. They are amazing. So right away, they fill my vision with light blue energy, like a wave. It swirls around me, and there's silver sparkles in it. So this dusty blue with sparkles, and I hear this high voice, high pitched voice, and it says, "She's okay. She's okay. She just has to make a decision. She has to make a choice." And I'm like, okay. Can you tell us any more about that? No, it's up to her.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, okay,
Give
well,
us a clue.
I'm saying inside, she's paying me to do this. I'd like to give her a little bit more than that,
Yeah.
And they're like, nope. And I'm like, okay. And so then I'm like, oh, okay, so let's go to the Akashic Records real quick and let's just see what they got to say, because this seems highly unsatisfactory. And so I go into the Akashic Records, greet my team, who are dusted in blue and glitter, sparkly glitters. They are a little grumpy looking. They are absolutely dusted from her team. They're trying to shake it off. And I'm like,
That's fun.
wow. And I'm like, will you take me over to greet her team? And they're like, yeah, I don't think they walked me over. I think they were still a little grumpy from being glittered.
From being glittered.
Yeah. So I go over to her team, and it is the most amazing team. They're all the most amazing team I see, right? I probably should just quit trying to say that. They're all women.
Hmm.
I've never seen an all-woman team. They're all wearing white and a little bit of light blue. They're not human. They're kind of lumpy, cloud-like, puffy biscuits. I don't know.
Puffy biscuits.
They're bubbly. I don't know. I don't ask them their names because she could care less about that sort of thing. That's not where she's at. And I'm looking at them, and they're also giving off Mother Mary energy. The light blue keeps saying Mother Mary energy. The high, sweet voice, I still hear it. I still hear it. And so I check in with them and I said, you know, can you help her with this decision? They're like, no, she has to make a decision. She bought the ticket to the ride. She has to ride the ride now.
Wow.
So here's the deal, people. This is what you learn from this story is you have to make the decision.
Yep.
Sometimes they will not make it for you no matter what. I bet she's had to make this decision for all the years that this has been bothering her, and she just couldn't make it or was too afraid to make it or whatever. She just needs to make the decision. That is all of us. You bought the ticket to this ride the ride. So
That's a hell of a lesson.
yeah. So I'm just telling everybody, make your decisions. Don't put it off for years and years. You do not want to go to a reading. You don't want to go pay me to read you to hear, nope, not going to help you.
For sure.
So I do. I will admit though that I felt kind of bad about that. And they do allow me once per weekend to give away a reading, and I gave away that reading to her. I said, go take your money, go down to, I told her which other one, if anyone can get them, she can. So
Right. Wow. I bet she didn't though. It sounds they were just adamant. Nobody else was going to get an answer either.
No, she's got to make a decision. That's just what she's got to do. So
Amanda Carroll says she's got a ticket to ride. Yeah. And
we
she don't
like it or not.
Yeah, we all got the ticket to ride.
Yeah, we got that ticket to ride.
Like it or not. Yeah.
Okay, last story.
Wow, you're pretty good. 57 minutes, your last story. And really, I book an hour and a half, so we can go over. No worries.
Okay. Good.
Hang on a minute. Oh, wait a minute. I think Teelan's just talking about, I believe that was uncommon back then at Craig Dixon, have an aunt that was institutionalized by her husband early 1900s. I suspect he had abilities he couldn't accept. I bet you're right. And because Craig had said that his Clara guide was thought to have mental illness, schizophrenia, but she was actually psychic. Yeah. It's still happening, folks. It's still happening with our young.
Yeah.
Especially our young ones.
The very young, like my granddaughter that's 18.
Right. Well, like with the trance medium that I met, what he explained a little bit, what happens is that when a spirit wants to be read or be talked or have a voice, he showed me how it enters his body and takes over his body. And well, you know, if they're just willy-nilly coming into you,
you have to have boundaries.
You might feel a little mentally ill.
I had I trans-channeled quite a bit and during COVID. So what 2021 I was doing a lot of trans-channeling, but I had to learn. I didn't know how to do it, and I had to learn boundaries. In fact, one time Heather and I were getting our space together, our sacred space for me to channel it. And we always said a little prayer, smudged and did this stuff. And we invited anybody that wanted to speak to me with love, unconditional love and the highest good of all concerned to join us. And my husband was like the gatekeeper. And he says, we have a problem. There are too many entities. You have to be more specific with what you ask because we have a queue, this enormous queue of entities that want to speak through you, and you wouldn't be able to do it. anyway. So you've got to be more specific. So you really
Oh,
do, as a trans channel, you have to create and boundaries. And one entity actually just plopped in, like this he was talking about, just plopped in and I was like, wait a minute, you didn't even ask permission. I don't care who you are, get out. And I had a way of just feeling my
Blasting them
body
out.
full of that light, unconditional love, and then blasting it out to get rid of anything that wasn't here with unconditional love.
mhm.
He came right back and apologized, and we talked. But nevertheless, it does happen, and you have
Right.
to be very
Yeah.
mindful of what you're doing. I never
Mhm.
had anybody that tried to harm me doing that. I never had anyone harm, but some of them still have big egos.
Right.
They thought
Yeah.
I could do it when I was alive. I can still do it. And no.
I think it was Ra that did that.
I think it was Raw.
I think it was Ra.
Yeah, and you kind of told him where to go.
Right.
He didn't have any choice. He left.
Yeah.
But
By the
anyway,
way, Sun Psychic Jean is in the audience.
I see
hi,
that.
Miss and Psychic
Hello.
Jean. She says, Terri, you are simply magnificent.
Oh, thank you.
So
Thank you
sweet.
for that.
She is. We agree.
We agree. Yes, most definitely.
Well, I'm going to tell you the last caring one because
Please.
it was. They're all interesting. Okay,
They
they're
are.
all phenomenal. Okay, so a lady plops down in my chair. She's about my age. She has a lot of hair and curly. Oh, really, just the most beautiful hair. And she's crying. She's laughing. She's all over the place, man. She's all over the place. And she goes, but I know exactly what I want. And I'm like, okay, because I was thinking maybe I might have to guide this question a little because she's a little too emotional. And anyway, she says, no, this is what I want. I want you to read my Akashic records and please ask them why I have so much overwhelming rage and anger. And most of the time, I think you should be a little bit like, ooh, wow. But my heart again leaped for joy. It just, wow, this is the best question ever. It's so good. And I can feel everybody on her team, like, yes, they're just like all over me, kind of like, yes, we must talk about this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, they want to, yep, let's get on with this. So I just go to the Akashic records, greet mine like I do, then go over to her side and greet hers. And her team is just downright stunning. Stunning. The one on the number one area that I would say number one is Thor. Freaking Thor. With his big hammer, everything.
Does he look
Thor.
like Chris Hemsworth?
I'm just like, holy shit.
Wow.
I'm just like, Thor. And I'm thinking, wow. And I don't even need to ask him what he does. Okay. I got Thor. I got it. And so then I go to the third place one, and it's odd looking. It's white and kind of crumpled up, and it's small. And it's moving and morphing a little, and I greet it and I ask it its name, and I see it morph, and I see kind of a eagle wing come out of it a little bit, and it says justice.
Whoa.
And I'm like, Thor and justice? Holy shit.
Wow.
And then I go to this one in the middle, and it looks like an old lady with long gray hair, not very big, but I'm like, greetings, and who are you? And she says, you can call me Mama. But I'm like, Mama, okay. But she's like Mother Bear energy.
Mama Bear.
Mama Bear. And I'm like, oh, good God, with a team like this, anybody be full of rage and anger.
That's
You
what
know, or
I'm thinking too. My
there's
God,
something big going on here because this is a big team.
that
This is
is a big team.
team to help rein in the rage and anger. This is a big, big team. So I'm like, okay, team, I don't even have to talk to any of you and ask you what you do. I know what you do for her. I get it already. Tell me about her. Tell me about this rage and anger. And they said, for many, many lives, she has been a, what was the word they used? A crusader. She's been a crusader to help people who need help. Many lives, many, many, many lives. She is full of rage and anger because sometimes she's supposed to have righteous rage and anger. But now it's gotten a little out of hand. You know, she no longer needs to crusade, but she's still holding on to one sword. So they showed me that she used to have many, many swords. She carried many swords through many lives. There's many lives she had more than one sword. Real serious fighter for the underdogs.
Mm-hmm.
And she still has one sword, and they're not asking her to put it down because I relate to this lady a lot. I remember the rage and anger, and I remember that they asked me to put my sword down. So I have put my sword down. I am not holding a sword anymore. But she still has a sword, and they're not asking her to put it down, but they're asking her that she does need some healing through this. And so they kind of like come out of the house and are standing right in front of me, and they're like, let's heal this. I'm like, yes. Okay, they want to heal you. They want to heal the rage and anger. And I said, you have to accept. And she's like, yes, right away. And so I explained to her about like how I see the healing, about the 0 point, the beginning of your being, the past lives, the current incarnations, carnation or carnations. She has a lot of incarnations. About the way that I see these current lives, and when you get to see the edge of the roll, it's actually the tree of life. So this lady also keeps validating the whole time. So when I said it's justice, it's freaking justice, she's like, I just went to a tarot card reader down the thing, and they pull one card for you, and they pulled justice. So they already gave her a heads up. You're meeting justice, And then when I say the way this looks to me is I see the multiple lives, and it's like a wheel. I can spin it and see the lives. But on the end, when you look at it on the end, it's the tree of life. And there's more lives than just the ones I can see on the outside. There's lives within the branches and the roots.
Wow.
And
beautiful.
She picks up her phone, turns it on, and her screensaver is the tree of life.
And you can't make this shit up.
And in the little pocket of her phone, she pulls out a temporary tattoo of the tree of life and gives it to me. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And I tell her about the future and tell her about what we're going to do, and about the hand that's going to pull, her Akashic record team that's going to pull the rage and anger out of the past lives and out of your current life. So I kind of prepare her what we're going to do. So they start that process. I see the hand that represents her team drawing out what looks like, spider webs out of, and they're drawing all the bad stuff out. They're drawing the rage and anger out that she experienced in other lifetimes, or her ancestors experienced. And then they get to current incarnation, that wheel that I see, and they start drawing it out. And it's hard work. man, they can barely
Wow.
make any headway on this. I mean, it's tough. And the webs, back when you look at the past lives, the webs are more like energetic spider web. They're thinner. But now, when we're in her incarnations now, the webs are much thicker.
Thicker.
They're really hard. And so finally, they asked to borrow my team. So I asked my team if they'll go help. So now we got 2 teams, six beings trying to draw this out. And they're still struggling. It's really hard. And there's about a spiritual inch left. I mean, it looks like an inch to me, okay?
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows how many years that is? And it's still really hanging on. And suddenly I notice an angel pop up on the left side because they're pulling it towards the right. And the right is the future to me. So they're from the past. An angel suddenly pops up to help them because they are not getting this little inch is so hard. And the angel just blows it all off.
Oh my God.
And as they've been drawing this off, the wheel is spinning, slowly spinning. I've never seen it spin while they've been doing this. I mean, I've seen them pull it from everywhere, but I've never seen them spin it. And these things coming out are braiding into a rope. It's a rope. It's thick.
It's a rage of rope.
Yeah, rage of
rope.
rope.
A rope
of rage. A rope of rage.
Wow.
It is thick. It is hard. And they anchor it to the end of that life. They anchor it right there. And then they go in and do the clearing. And then they go back and do the healing, pulling out all the good times they were able to overcome rage and make good decisions, things like that. And then they go back again and do another clearing. And they say, from now on, when she feels anger, she's not going to not feel anger, but she will not go to rage. She's going to get curious. So you're going to feel anger. You're going to go to curiosity and look for what's going on. Look for the lesson. And all of this makes sense to this lady. She's just like overcome with all this. She's just like, yes, that's what I want. And so they then explained to her more that now they're going to take the love and they're gonna kind of spread that out over the future lives, but that then they reminded me to remind her that when she has a bad boss, when she has these things happening at work that are causing her this rage and anger, to remember she asked for it. Who wants to hear that in a reading? She probably wanted to take her
No, nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear that.
To take her $40 back right about then, but because they're like, you asked for it, like, what? And I explained, yes, it's a soul contract, so you could learn something at that particular time. Maybe the learning isn't that you're supposed to learn something new at work, but maybe you're supposed to be able to look at that person or that boss and see God in them and see how, and think about what you're supposed to learn. So I said the fastest way to get over it is to look for it and learn the lesson real quick. And so that's what they had to say for her after that she should look for the lessons and that they will help her go to curiosity. Yeah.
I love that they chose curiosity to go to instead of the rage. Because curiosity, that's going to lead you to wonder, okay, what was the lesson here?
Yeah. Why did this happen? Let's look at it again.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard for us as humans to get over that. If it's crap, there's a lesson there. If something's not going right, there's a lesson there. And you need to learn that lesson. Sometimes you don't get that lesson until months or years later when you think back, oh yeah, that's what that was about.
But even as she's in the seat, after this is done, she suddenly can reframe it. She's like, all of my team wanted me to apply for my boss's job, but I wouldn't apply for the job because I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, because that job is right up against corporate. And she knew how painful this job was, and suddenly it was a reminder. Her job is painful. You wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. She's not your worst enemy.
Yeah.
And yet she has the job. So, yeah. So she accepted it all. She didn't scream out bullshit and leave. That's good.
Have you ever had that happen where somebody was really unhappy with one of your readings and walk out or anything?
No.
Can't imagine that happening to you.
No. But I had one person, very upset, and in an audience. I was reading a room at a thing, and a lady wanted me to read her grandchild that had died at birth. But she didn't tell me all that right away. And so it was interesting. So he came right away as a 9-year-old. And he was really excited. And he was telling me all about baseball and all the things he wanted to play, all the things he wanted to do. And I'm like, I'm telling her that he's talking about it, but it's aspirational, not that he did get to do this. He didn't get to do this in life. I don't know. So, and then she asked, well, who is he most close to on this earth now? And I said, he's the most close to his parents, and then you, and the brother. She got up and stomped out because she thought two things, because she did tell one thing. She's like, he was a baby. You're supposed to be reading a baby. And I'm like, a baby can't talk to me. But a 9-year-old can. They can be any age when they're over there.
Sure.
They show you whatever age. And I can't talk to a baby. So
a baby can't talk to you. You can talk to it, but it's not going to talk to you.
Right. And then after she walked out, I did tell the audience that I can't help who he's close to, because she wanted him to be close to only his twin. And it's like, well, I just got to say what they say. I can't make it up. So she did stomp out in the middle of my speech. Yeah. But I didn't feel that bad, because it was also a learning opportunity for the audience to know why I'm talking to a 9-year-old instead of a baby.
Absolutely.
Why that they can be close to who they want to be close to. We can't control people. So,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, that was a good lesson for the crowd, for sure.
Right.
Wow. God, Terri, thank you so much for telling your stories today. They were all absolutely fascinating. And I had to take notes on some of the things and to ask you about later.
Okay.
They really are. They're so not just informative. They're very, very educational.
Absolutely. For all of us.
Yes.
I do want to let people know that I don't know everything. Sometimes I think I don't know anything.
Me too.
So I do pass these on so that we might know a little bit more about what the other side does, or at least sometimes what happens to me when I'm doing a reading.
It's really fascinating because we all read differently and see differently. Like, I don't see pictures like you do. I'm not clairvoyant. I'm clairaudient and clairsentient.
Right.
But they turn into pictures for me by the knowing.
Right. And as you talk, it's actually validating a lot of things that may have happened to us that we didn't realize. Oh, so it does help knowing that somebody else has seen something and it makes sense to you in a way that it didn't make sense before.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you up to next, Miss Terri?
Tomorrow I will be on with Allie Martin at 10. And all those people
Heart and
who
Soul Connected.
Yeah, if Heart and Soul Connected and all those people in your audience who wanted to ask a question can come over there and ask a question.
Absolutely.
And I will be reading in all 3 modes. What I do now is, instead of just reading as a psychic medium, I read psychic, medium, and Akashic records. And
I don't
just
see how we can do it any different, because one bleeds into the other, it seems like, for me.
Yeah, and as you learn things, you automatically go to whichever one's going to help you the most.
Yeah, whichever one's relevant at that particular moment, it seems.
Right. And to limit yourself to one modality is limiting what information,
the healing that she can give.
Right.
For sure. All right then. Well, we've got a full week next week. Tuesday, we're doing spiritual bypassing. Are you familiar with that? Our show's that's Tuesday afternoon. And then Saturday, we have Valerie for the new moon.
Yep.
Monday is the following Monday's the Wisdom Circle, and that's mine. I'm doing Christ Consciousness.
And I'll be there.
I'm so excited. You're going to make fantastic. And then we're in July. That's July 1st is the Wisdom Circle. And then July 2nd, we're moving to 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Right.
Because 1 o'clock here is in the middle of our day, and it's a problem. So we're moving to later, 8 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Mountain, and 5 o'clock Pacific. Yeah. So sorry, Central, you're at 7 o'clock. And we did a thing on our community page to see what time people like the most, and that was 8 o'clock Eastern was so that's what we're going to do. So that'll be interesting. Yes. But I just want to thank everybody in the chat for participating and being here today. Thank you so much.
We really, really appreciate it.
We really do appreciate it. We're sending love and light to all of you. Thank you so much. And I guess we'll say goodbye till next time. And again, Terri, thank you for being here and sharing your fantastic stories.
Thank you, Terri.
Thank you for inviting. You're welcome, but thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Hardly anybody wants to hear these sometimes.
I don't know. We always have a full audience when you're here, so I'm happy. I'm thrilled to hear them myself. Exactly. So until next time, everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on Tuesday.
Exactly.
Until then, have a great day. Great weekend.
Take care of yourselves.
Yeah.